Picture this. A state-of-the-art Boeing 737, barely 4 months old, climbing through the clear morning sky over Indonesia. Everything appears normal from the ground, but inside the cockpit, the flight crew is fighting a battle against this airplane. Just 5 months later, the same deadly scenario plays out over Ethiopia. We are about to explore how Boeing's race to compete led to design shortcuts, and how a recent settlement allows it to escape criminal prosecution for what many consider the deadliest corporate crime in U.S. history. So stow your tray tables, fasten your seatbelts, and prepare for some extreme turbulence, because this is Final Boarding Call.
That's heavy. That is a beginning right there.
Are you pumped?
I
This
am.
story has it all.
So I'm curious right off the bat. Is this... I mean, people were talking a lot of shit online about Boeing, within the last 2 years. Is this what all of that is about?
Okay, cool. Well,
Why is my voice so high? I have a bitch voice.
you do not. Why is my voice so low?
Why does my voice sound like a 4-year-old girl's?
Okay, I think everybody hates their voice. I think that's kind of part of it.
I think it's true. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to get started here on this episode. However, I want to apologize to everybody if you are hearing what might sound like static to you in the background. It is raining cats and dogs here today, and we are recording anyway, because we have to. we are all caught up with our weeks, which always stresses me out. So we're recording. It's raining.
Everybody
so intensely.
loves rain. Stop worrying about the rain sound. It's beautiful. People are going to finally fall asleep to our podcast.
Okay. So, yes. What I will say is that there have been recent Boeing shenanigans that have taken place.
It's getting louder.
It's getting louder. God damn it. There are recent Boeing shenanigans that have taken place on top of the 2 cases that we are going to cover today. And the 2 cases that we are going to cover today are relevant to a particular software that was added to modern Boeing 737s, and it caused horrible things to happen. So Boeing already kind of had a garbage reputation, and then all of a sudden, like the Alaska Airlines flight, where the door just came flying off of the airplane, that does not help the Boeing situation. And we will talk about this, but yeah, Boeing's in a PR nightmare right now. There have been investigations into their operations and their facilities, and even whistleblowers within Boeing have been very open and honest about shit going down for real.
I do believe in speaking out, but also things never go good for the whistleblowers.
No, and that kind of sucks. People should, especially if it's
It's
planes.
these are the early people trying to stand up and say, this is wrong. Let me help you make this case. And they always get shit on.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure.
Damn.
We got some lightning outside, folks.
Pretty close, too, because we could count back the seconds, but it was probably 2 seconds before we heard it.
Well, you can skip this episode if the sound is really bugging you. Otherwise,
Or you can listen to it on repeat if you love it like I do.
Yeah, this is like some ASMR Everybody Dies podcast.
Our dog is freaking out.
I know.
Benji does not love this.
No, he hates bad weather. Okay. Hello, everybody.
And welcome.
Welcome to Final Boarding Call. I am your disaster-obsessed host, Alice, and as always...
I'm not a very reluctant homebody husband.
Yeah, Zach, you're in a
Zach.
good mood.
Yeah.
I love that.
My name is Zach. Forgot to tell them. They know me by now. It's fine.
Everybody knows you. You're famous to our 200 monthly listeners, but...
That number is incredible for us just being some
Yeah.
people that don't know what we're doing,
No.
sitting here at a dinner table together.
No, and we do no marketing. I work in marketing professionally, and we do zero marketing for this podcast. So
That's a lie. I marketed really hard when I went to my friend's house to drink beers and said, hey guys, we're gonna do this, and now they listen.
Wow, that
Heavy
that
marketing.
guerrilla word of mouth marketing.
Yeah.
Old school, folks. Okay.
It took.
200 people. Zach's got more friends than me.
By a
Before
lot.
before we dive in, a quick reminder to our listeners, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. As the kids would say, smash that subscribe button. I think that's what YouTubers say. I don't watch YouTube, but
For the
Yes.
night, so I'll talk to you another
watch
time.
YouTube videos of plane crashes. All right, let me go over our sources because this case is jam-packed with some insanity. So there are court documents from Boeing's recent Department of Justice settlement, the final investigation reports, obviously, from both crashes, which I always include, internal Boeing communications that were revealed during congressional investigations, and of course, I've got some journal articles, I got some safety experts. It's all detailed in the show notes. So check that out if you're, I don't know, into that. Here we go. Our story begins not with a crash, but with a phone call. In early 2011, Boeing CEO W. James McNerney received an urgent call from the head of American Airlines, one of Boeing's most important customers. The message was not good. American was considering placing a massive order for hundreds of Airbus A320neo aircraft instead of Boeing airplanes. Yikes.
Hundreds of airplanes is
Hundreds.
billions of dollars.
This is like really, really bad. To understand why this phone call was so crucial, we need to step back and look at the fierce competition between Boeing and Airbus. For decades, these two giants had been locked in a global duopoly. Do you like that?
Duopoly.
Yeah. I had to double check to make sure that was a word, but
But they said
it is, because monopoly is a word. Duopoly. Fighting for every order, every route, every advantage in the commercial aviation market. Boeing's 737 had been a workhorse since the 1960s, but Airbus was gaining ground, and the A320 family particularly was getting pretty popular. Airbus announced the A320 Neo. You want to give me a little Neo riff real quick?
Not even a little bit.
Oh, okay. I thought when I said that I'd get a little something out of you, and I'd be like, all right.
Like, I know a little bit of Neo, and if it was playing, I could sing along, but do I give a damn about his music enough to just know the lyrics in my head just sitting here podcasting with you? Not a bit.
Okay. Sorry, Neo. If you're a listener, we love you.
If you're listening, she loves you. I'm not going to lie to you.
So NEO actually stands for New Engine Option. So it is NEO, New Engine Option.
Much like the RB25 Neo, for anybody that didn't know.
Oh, great. God, the listeners will love that. Promising airlines 15% better fuel efficiency. And people, you probably can guess this, but fuel efficiency is a huge deal in the airline industry because that is a major cost to airlines.
It's
So
like the major cost.
it's gigantic, yes. So if you can save 15% of your gas spend on a
That's big.
spreadsheet,
Yeah.
that's huge. And guess what? The orders poured in. Airlines were really excited about this. We're talking millions of dollars in fuel cost saved for the average commercial airliner.
I mean, per plane. That's
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of money. Ultimately, what resulted from this was that Airbus was eating into Boeing's market share. Bummer. So Boeing faced a critical decision: spend 10 years and tens of billions of dollars developing an entirely new aircraft, or basically pull their own version of Neo. Take the Boeing 737 that is known and loved and update it. Give it a little beep bop boop boop to compete.
Put some nice flat screens in there, but also let it get better fuel.
Wow, look at that. You can have it all.
Now it's an Escalade.
That is not massagey chairs.
Massaging
Oh.
seats in the driver's seat are the best, worst thing to ever happen. They put you to sleep, but God, they are nice.
That's terrible. Well, Zach, given those two options, which do you think Boeing went with?
Well, because their planes are looking about the same, I'm going to guess that they decided to keep the same plane.
They did. The choice was obvious from a business perspective. The company was not going to, quote unquote, bet the company on revolutionary new designs.
They hadn't been working on anything already, so it's not, they would have been starting from scratch.
It would have been rough. Yeah. Yep. Just 3 months after that phone call with American Airlines, Boeing launched the 737 MAX project. Not the actual plane, they launched the project in August 2011. The timeline was brutal. They needed to get this plane to market fast before Airbus captured even more of their customers. However, there was a problem, because there's always a problem when you're trying to ship something really, really fast. To compete with the A320neo's fuel efficiency, the 737 MAX needed bigger, more powerful engines. Boeing chose the CFM LEAP 1B engine. CFM stands for the joint venture between General Electric and Safran, which is a French aerospace company. So they got together, they made this big old badass engine, and LEAP stands for Leading Edge Aviation Propulsion. So somebody in the boardroom came up with that, and everyone was like,
Oh my God, that's so good.
LEAP? That's sick, Greg.
Always wanted to leap.
LEAP. Okay. These engines were significantly larger than the engines on previous 737 models. And here's where the trouble ultimately begins. The 737 sits lower to the ground than other aircraft. So that's like kind of a fun thing that I didn't know really until I dove into this really deeply. It's a design feature that actually allows them to fly into smaller airports.
Simon, this one's for you. 737s are your plane. They're the low boys.
They's low. Hello, are they scraping? Fun fact, with these engines on them,
They were.
would. Yeah, they actually would be. So these big engines do not fit in the same position as the smaller engines originally did. So Boeing's engineers had to move them forward and higher under the wing to get enough ground clearance.
I'm going to be honest. If I'm sitting on a plane and I can see the engines like a foot off the ground, I'm freaking out.
Yep. Well, they did what they had to do in order to keep those bad boys from scraping on the ground. And ultimately, this probably seems like a fairly minor change. It's not like they took the engines and were like, let's slap them one up here and one over there. They just moved them forward and a little bit higher. However, this affects aerodynamics. Everything that you do on a plane will affect the aerodynamics of it. At certain angles of attack, which is a fancy way of just saying like when the plane is doing something.
While banking left.
Well, like doing stuff. So this is specifically when the nose is pitched up relative to the oncoming airflow. So when would we think that the nose is pitched up?
When you're taking off.
When you're taking off. Thank you, Zach. Absolutely. Obviously. The forward-mounted engines could create additional lift that would actually push the nose up further. So during takeoff, right, the pilots are like, okay, we're going to be at a nice, steady angle that's like really safe. We're taking off. And then all of a sudden the airplane's like, oh, we are going up, up, up. And it's like rocket launching itself into the stratosphere. And as we've heard now, Zach, and like many episodes, what happens to an airplane when it goes up too steep, too fast?
Well, you lose your freaking propulsion, whatever word they use.
Stall.
Stall.
Stall. Literally, the plane stalls.
You
So
need more speed to
Yeah.
go faster.
Yeah. What would make this even worse is that when the nose gets pushed up more, it would create more lift, which would lift the nose up even more because of these engines. It is like it's
now
a
they're just doing
constant loop.
backflips.
Correct. It is just a loop where the attitude created from these freaking engines is going to create a stall. It's very bad.
This is not good.
Not good. Boeing's engineers discovered this issue during wind tunnel testing in 2012. So, like, thank God they at least found that. They weren't just like rolling this thing
Should
out.
be fine.
Yeah. Their solution was a software fix called the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, also known as MCAS. So that one's another one where Greg was in the boardroom and just like, guys,
I was like, guys, what if we just,
get this.
you guys called it this, but what if we just took the first letter from each word? MCAS.
MCAS. The system was designed to automatically push the nose down if it detected a dangerous angle of attack, counteracting the engine's tendencies to launch the aircraft into fucking outer space. So we've talked about this before, but if this is your first episode, welcome. We're going to talk about an aerodynamic stall. So this happens when the smooth airflow over a wing breaks down, causing the wing to lose its lift. This can happen at any speed if the wing's angle of attack becomes too steep. Okay? Too much uppy, not enough airflow, plane stalls.
You need more speed to go up faster.
It's so true. I mean, you can really think of a car as well. Like, it just, you need more to go up. When a plane stalls, it will lose control and potentially crash, which is why preventing stalls is a critical priority. Eh?
You just made me think of that line in Mean Girls with the coach. You will get AIDS and die.
God, I love that movie so much. You just gave away the movie reference. We could have
No
done
stickers
that.
on that one,
No
fuckers.
stickers. You get nothing. Initially, MCAS was intended for rare, high-speed scenarios, and it was designed to move the horizontal stabilizer, which is the small wing-like surface on the tail of the aircraft that controls uppy-downy. That is pitch.
Pitch is your singing voice.
Yes. Yes. So, let me read this entire sentence again, start to finish, because I think I wrote it and it doesn't make sense. Initially, MCAS was intended for rare, high-speed scenarios and was designed to move the horizontal stabilizer just 0.6 degrees over 10 seconds. There we go.
Sounds like nothing.
Sounds like nothing. 0.6 degrees. But as testing continued, engineers discovered the same pitch-up tendency could occur at low speeds too, like during takeoff and climb, as we stated, Zach. And that is when the plane is most vulnerable, is during takeoff. That is actually when most incidents occur, and that is, in my opinion, the scariest moment of a flight. Turbulence does not freak me out. Takeoff, I definitely have.
Well, that was very close. Holy shit.
Y'all.
That had to have hit Adrian's house. That was so bright, it like hurt my eyes.
That was insane.
Your daughter jumped but didn't wake up.
God. Whoa.
Sick.
Didn't like that one.
That was metal as fuck.
God, that was really intense. Okay. Yeah, so takeoffs are scary.
So is lightning.
So is lightning. Okay. Woof. So this discovery from the engineers led to a critical decision that would prove fatal. MCAS was reprogrammed to work at low speeds, and given much more authority, it could now move the stabilizer 2.5 degrees in 10 seconds, more than 4 times the original design. Even more concerning, the requirement for high G forces to trigger the system was removed entirely, meaning MCAS now relied solely on angle of attack sensor data. So there is just one point of data, and if for whatever reason it interprets that as being quote unquote dangerous,
it makes its own.
It will take over
Yeah.
the fucking airplane. Yes. That's terrifying to me. Robots. I mean, we've all seen iRobot. Throughout this development process, Boeing was working under immense pressure. And this is kind of what we were talking about, Zach, where things are not good at Boeing. Internal emails later revealed by congressional investigators show employees expressing concern about the compressed timeline. Engineers were pushed to submit technical drawings and designs at roughly double the normal pace.
Sounds like any boss, though. It's like, I want double the output and half the money spent.
It's just so scary to me. Like, I get it. It's a business. There's pressure. There's this. You got stakeholders. You've got your stocks. But this is also an airplane manufacturer. Like, you are making something that hundreds of people could be on
At one time.
at one time.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. Woof. There's
By the
more
way.
thunder, folks.
Curtis said he was pretty sure I hit the big tree across the street. And he was outside for it. He's like, my shower is no longer voluntary.
Woof. One Boeing employee wrote in an internal email, "This airplane is designed by clowns, who are in turn supervised by monkeys." So the reply to that email was, "Would you put your family on a MAX simulator training aircraft? I wouldn't." The reply, "No. These are the people that are designing and building the airplane." But the public never saw those concerns
Why would they?
because those were internal emails. Publicly, Boeing maintained that the 737 MAX was safe and that the differences from previous 737 models were minimal. This characterization was crucial for another key aspect of Boeing's strategy: avoiding the need for extensive pilot training.
They didn't want to have to spend
No.
time getting people ready to service or fly on them.
No, absolutely not. It's the same. It's same, but better.
Yeah.
If you
Just
have
everything's
flown,
easier.
thank you. If you've flown a 737 before,
You're good.
you're good. Yes, there's a feature where the plane will take over and like try to kill you, but you don't worry about that. Okay. One of Boeing's key selling points for the 737 MAX was that pilots already certified on earlier 737 models would not need expensive and extensive simulator training to fly this airplane. Airlines loved this because simulator training can cost tens of thousands of dollars per pilot and could also take pilots out of service during the duration of their training. Boeing set what one engineer called, quote, a ground rule, end quote, for the 737 MAX design. Any designs we created could not drive any new training that required a simulator, end quote. So they were really instructed by the leadership team. Don't do anything where it's going to raise a red flag that more training is going to be needed by the pilots. This was not about customer convenience. It was about sales, ultimately. If the MAX required new training, the airlines would probably be out. To achieve this goal, Boeing had to convince the FAA, our good old friends at the Federal Aviation Administration, that the 737 MAX was not even that different. It's the same thing. And guess what? It worked. They succeeded. The FAA approved what's called Level B training, which is essentially iPad-based computer training, lasting an hour. An hour, Zach.
A 1 hour training.
1 hour training
certifies you to fly this
on
new
an
plane.
iPad. My training when I worked at Petco was like 7 hours long. And this is 1 hour. And they get to fly this new airplane.
Yeah, but you're taking care of a lot of lives at Petco too, so it's almost the same thing.
We didn't even have live animals at ours.
That is not where the pets go, folks.
No, we didn't even have like cute stuff. We had fish. Okay. Here is a crucial detail. MCAS wasn't even mentioned in the training. In fact, Boeing didn't tell pilots that MCAS existed at all. The system wasn't described in flight manuals, and pilots received no training on how to recognize or respond to MCAS activation. So there is a system that will take over the airplane if the sensor tells it to.
Entirely.
And the pilots have no fucking idea.
They don't even know.
They don't know.
They would think that they did something.
It seems problematic, Zach. I don't know.
It's bold, for sure.
Well, this strategy is not going to pay off. Boeing's chief technical pilot for the 737 MAX, Mark Faulkner, worked hard to keep training requirements minimal. In emails to airline customers, he referred to using Jedi mind tricks to persuade regulators that additional training was not necessary. Icky.
He had a job to do.
Yeah, and I'm sure he got a fat bonus. When he successfully convinced the FAA to approve the limited training program, a Boeing marketing employee celebrated in an email. This is a major milestone and a great accomplishment. Also icky. Boeing justified not telling pilots about MCAS by arguing that if the system malfunctioned, pilots could handle it using existing procedures for runaway stabilizer trim. And this is a condition where the aircraft's trim system moves continuously in one direction. So I'll break this down because that's like trim. What? Think of trim as the system that helps keep the airplane flying straight and level without the pilot having to consistently or constantly pull up or push on the controls. So these procedures had been around for decades, and they involved flipping 2 switches to cut power to the trim systems and then manually adjusting the aircraft's trim using hand-operated wheels. So it's okay if we don't understand exactly what that means, but in Boeing's mind, they were like, oh, the pilots will know what to do. They'll do this thing that they've always done forever. There was a problem with this reasoning that wouldn't become apparent until it was too late. The existing runaway trim procedures were developed for older, simpler aircraft, and the 737 MAX's systems were far more complex. And the manual trim wheels could become extremely difficult or impossible to turn under certain conditions, specifically when the aircraft was flying fast and the stabilizer was severely out of trim. It would be like trying to turn the steering wheel of a car while the wheels are stuck in very deep mud. Yeah. Also, the pilots wouldn't know what the fuck is happening, which to me is just like,
I wish everybody could see the hand movements.
God, jeez Louise. Boeing also made another crucial decision about MCAS that violated basic principles of aviation safety. The system relied on data from only one angle of attack sensor.
Which can go bad. Sensors fail.
Yes, Zach.
Or senses fail. Whatever.
And if you're going to have a system that will take over an airplane, you need it to be able to take in more than one data point.
You need redundancy.
Drink. Most commercial aircraft have multiple sensors for critical systems to provide
redundancy.
Drink, like having backup brakes in your car. If one fails, at least you have some others. Like, my God. But MCAS used just one sensor alternating between the left and right sensors on successive flights, which also is crazy to me, but that's whatever. They had to ship it fast, Zach. The stakeholders.
There was no time.
The stock market.
I wasn't
Zach.
going to get that 1.2 million bonus.
The bonuses. The 737 MAX did have 2 angle of attack sensors and a cockpit warning system that would alert pilots if the sensors disagreed significantly. But this warning system was offered as optional at an extra cost. And guess what? The airlines
Nobody wants to pay for
were
it.
like, what? It's optional, baby. Cross that shit off. So many airlines did not do this, including Lion Air and Ethiopian Airlines, which are going to be the 2 incidents that we are talking about today. Believe it or not, folks, we are going to cover, not in the normal depth that we do, but we are going to cover 2 plane crashes that happened because of this, obviously. As Boeing prepared, I think my voice just cracked like I'm going through puberty. As Boeing prepared for the 737 MAX's entry into service, warning signs were emerging. Internal communications show employees expressing concern about, quote, safety and quality. 2,
Those
important.
are 2 things, yeah.
Like, you're putting a plane out there.
Yeah. It's on the bottom of the to-do list, but they are on it.
It's fucking nuts. However, the public narrative remained positive. The 737 MAX entered commercial service in May of 2017 with great fanfare, marketed as Boeing's fastest selling aircraft ever. So somebody got a big old fat bonus. Many people did. By October of 2018, Boeing had delivered 237 MAX aircraft to airlines around the world. The plane was flying hundreds of routes daily, carrying thousands of passengers, and then, on a clear morning over Indonesia, the first catastrophic failure occurred. It is October 29th, 2018. The morning sun rises over, you guys, please forgive me because I have this written out phonetically, but this name is... The sun rises over Jakarta's Soekarno-Hatta International Airport as Lion Air Flight 610 prepares for what should be a routine 1 hour and 20-minute flight to Pangkal, Penang. The aircraft is a nearly new Boeing 737 MAX 8, registration PKLQP, delivered to Lion Air only 2.5 months earlier. This thing is brand new. Captain Captain...
Or as Harry Potter would say.
Yeah, I know. Captain Xavier Senyeha, apologies for the pronunciation there, folks, a 31-year-old Indian national, commands the flight. He's experienced with over 6,000 flight hours and more than 7 years with Lion Air. Beside him sits First Officer Harvino, a 41-year-old Indonesian with over 5,000 hours of flight experience. Both pilots are what we would call extremely qualified and familiar with the 737. What they don't know, what they've never been told, is that their aircraft has a hidden problem. The day before, on the flight from Bali to Jakarta, this same plane experienced severe control issues. Passengers would describe it as a roller coaster ride, with the aircraft repeatedly diving and then climbing again unexpectedly. The flight crew declared a pan-pan, which is an international distress signal, indicating an urgent situation that's one level before a full-on mayday, right? But they did manage to land the plane safely. Here is where the story gets even crazier. That previous flight was actually saved by a third pilot, an off-duty Boeing 737 MAX qualified pilot was riding in the cockpit jump seat. What does this remind you of? The DC-10 trainer that came in, totally saved the day. When MCAS began forcing the nose down, this pilot correctly diagnosed the problem and told the crew to flip the stabilizer trim cutout switches, disabling the system. This information wasn't widely known until months later, because people didn't even know that MCAS existed.
It wasn't even a thing.
It wasn't even a thing. After landing in Jakarta, the aircraft underwent maintenance. Workers replaced one of the angle of attack sensors with a used part.
Not even a new one.
Just find a bolt. Find a bolt in your bolt bucket.
I swear to God, it's like some of my car friends that bring stuff to me. It's like, oh, I need a new injector.
Oh my
well,
God.
there's this one at a salvage yard.
Yeah, I found this
no,
one.
Don't do that.
That ain't it. Okay, well, they're doing that on an airplane. So they found this used part. It was not from a pay and pull, but it was from a Florida company called Extra Aerospace. And folks, it's spelled with an X.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hell yeah, brother. But the replacement sensor was miscalibrated. It had been incorrectly repaired and wasn't sending accurate data. Lion Air's maintenance crew failed to detect this error during installation. Oh, Jesus, guys. At 6:20 a.m. local time on October 29th, Flight 610 takes off from Jakarta with 189 people on board. For the first 5 minutes, everything seems normal. The aircraft climbs steadily through the morning sky, but as Captain Sunyeha begins to retract the flaps, which are kind of those like movable panels on the wings that go in and out during takeoff and landing, the miscalibrated angle of attack sensor starts sending false data to the aircraft's systems. The faulty sensor tells MCAS that the aircraft is in a dangerous nose-up attitude, when it's actually just flying. It's just doing what the airplane should be doing. Okay. So if it sounds a little different right now than it did 1.5 seconds ago in the script, it's because we had to take a pause recording and we are now on night 2 of this episode. So let's jump right back into it. The faulty sensor tells MCAS that the aircraft is in a dangerous nose-up attitude when it's actually flying normally. MCAS responds as designed. It automatically commands the horizontal stabilizer to push the aircraft's nose down. But because the sensor data is wrong, this nose down input is completely unnecessary. It's also dangerous because they're just flying the plane and then all of a sudden it's dipping. It's falling out of the sky.
I'm a dip real quick.
Yeah. Captain Sunyeha feels the aircraft's nose drop and he pulls back on his control yoke because that is intuitively what a pilot would do to maintain level flight. But MCAS isn't finished. The system is designed to activate repeatedly if it continues to receive high angle of attack readings. So basically, every few seconds, it will try and get more input data. And if it is getting bad input data, it's just going to continue to push the nose down, which is where we currently are.
Not what we're looking for.
Yup. Yeah. The pilots don't understand what's happening because they don't know about MCAS. So they don't recognize that their own aircraft is fighting them. From their perspective, the plane seems to have developed a mind of its own, repeatedly trying to dive toward the ocean randomly, despite their inputs. They're trying to control the airplane, and it has just taken over. And it's like, go fuck yourselves.
Rude for a plane to say.
It's so bad. Just 5 minutes after takeoff, a warning horn begins blaring in the cockpit. This is the cabin altitude warning, which we have discussed in previous episodes, but this indicates that the aircraft has a pressurization system issue. On the 737, this warning sounds identical to the takeoff configuration warning. Zach, do you remember an episode where we talked about
Same
this?
sounds doing two things is bad.
Creating confusion at a critical moment. Yeah.
I hate it, but also, what are they going to do? They're going to have a beep here and a beep beep there. Beep beep beep.
Here beep, there beep.
Everywhere beep beep.
Okay.
I was more thinking R. Kelly, like, give me that
Beep,
give me
that
that
beep, beep.
You could run your hands through my Jufro.
Okay.
Redacted.
Captain Sinyeha contacts air traffic control. This is a, quote, request RTB. So that is return to base, which is pilot terminology for requesting permission to come back to where you came from. But even as he announces their intention to return to Jakarta, MCAS continues its deadly work. The system activates 21 times during the 11-minute flight, each time commanding the nose down.
21 times in 11 minutes.
Yeah, 21 times, 11 minutes. It's so bad. The pilots fight valiantly, but they are battling an invisible enemy that they don't even know exists. Their aircraft's speed increases dangerously as MCAS forces them into a dive, thinking that it is saving their lives. At 6:33 a.m., 11 minutes after takeoff, Lion Air Flight 610 disappears from radar.
What is the radar height? I forget. I know that you can fly low enough to fly under radar. Is it 500 feet or something like that?
Let's find out.
10 out of 10, it is low.
Yeah, it for sure is. It's low. So the internet is telling me that it is often 2,500 feet above the ground.
I feel like it would be lower, but, I'm not a professional.
Yeah.
I'm, in fact, very unprofessional.
Yeah, and according to this guy on Reddit, he says most air traffic operates at 5,000 to 40,000 feet. There you go, folks. Not helpful, but that's what the internet just
There's
told
your
me.
lack of an answer for the night.
Fabulous. Thank the internet. The aircraft hits the Java Sea at approximately 400 miles per hour.
Wait, what is a Java Sea?
The Java Sea.
Oh, the Java Sea. Gotcha.
We should not be laughing at this point. This is so fucked.
Jesus died for our sin.
Yeah, well, this is like just living a nightmare. The people on this plane. Oh, God, I wish I could say that this podcast has not increased my flight anxiety, but obviously it has. That's a default. It's like when I binge murder podcasts and then I go on a walk and I'm like, I'm going to die on this walk.
You know what's nice is that hasn't increased mine, but my Lord, when we were taking off, when we were going to Chicago, the plane kind of floated for a second and you felt that weightlessness in your stomach and you like grabbed my arm and I'm just like, we're fine.
Oh, God. But the idea of being stuck in an airplane that is trying to kill you, that's so horrifying. And my heart breaks for the people that were inside of this plane, both the passengers, the crew. It just is like so unbelievably shitty. The good news, I guess, if you can call it that, is that the 189 people on board were killed instantly. I mean, if you crash into a surface at 400 miles per hour,
doesn't matter what that surface is.
Yeah, the game's over. So thank God at least that there wasn't prolonged suffering. But God, that is just so fucking shitty. In the aftermath, Boeing's initial response was telling. The company suggested that Lion Air's maintenance procedures and pilot training were to blame. Boeing CEO Dennis Muhlenberg maintained that the 737 MAX is safe, and that's a quote. And he emphasized that pilots could handle MCAS malfunctions using existing procedures. But behind the scenes, Boeing knew that there was a problem.
Well, yeah.
8 days after the crash, the company issued a bulletin to all 737 MAX operators, warning about erroneous angle of attack data that could result in uncommanded nose-down movement. The FAA followed with an emergency directive requiring Boeing to revise operating procedures. Boeing rushed to develop a software update for MCAS, initially promising that it would take, quote, maybe 6 weeks-ish, end quote, to fix the system, which is the most bizarre. Like, okay, that's fine. People could die, but that's cool.
Just keep flying for the next 6 weeks.
Six-ish.
And we'll get something written up.
Yeah, no, that's great. But
when I have free time.
so messed up. But the complexity of the problem proved greater than anticipated. As Boeing worked on the software fix, airlines and pilots around the world began asking uncomfortable questions about the system that they'd never been told about. The Indonesian investigation would later reveal the full scope of the problem. The aircraft had experienced MCAS-related issues on multiple flights before the crash. But the problems weren't properly reported, and they were not properly addressed.
And how do you properly report something? It's like, the plane did something weird, but I don't know anything weird.
Well, Zach, that's a great point. Like, you can say, oh, I was stuck in this weird roller coaster-like cycle, and they'll be like, okay. And
but
then
why?
They'll go and, I guess they'll update the sensor, but the pilots don't know what the cause of the issue is. Hugely problematic. The investigation found that 31 pages were missing from the aircraft's maintenance logbook.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of pages.
Mm-hmm. Is it a cover-up? Okay. Anyway, that hindered the investigation significantly. Most damning was the finding that Boeing's design process had fundamental flaws. MCAS relied on a single sensor. Folks.
Redundancy.
Drink. The system had been given far more authority than originally intended, and pilots were kept in the dark about its existence. But as investigators worked to understand what went wrong with Lion Air Flight 610, Boeing's software fix remained incomplete. The 737 MAX continued to fly like nothing had even happened, carrying passengers who had no idea that they were boarding a death trap, which is just like so crazy to me. Insane.
It's like letting any one of these passengers like, oh, I built this plane. We can fly it. We're fine.
Oh, it's so messed up. Yeah, I mean, people are getting on these planes and they just have no freaking idea, like what it is capable of doing to them. And guess what, Zach? 5 months later, that exact same flaw would claim 157 more lives.
Honestly, it's kind of shocking that it didn't kill more people for that kind of time frame. I think they were just flying like nothing was wrong.
I guess the question is, was it doing roller coaster pattern things? Like, was it still being problematic? It's just that some of the flights may have gotten lucky.
Mm.
And the Lion flight did not. And this flight is not going to get lucky. So, folks, we're about to do a first here on Final Boarding Call. And
you get a twofer.
You get a two-parter. Now, Zach, I don't dream of quitting my day job. I actually love my job. But if this podcast ever makes it to a point where we can have a Patreon, which would be kind of cool, then we will release 2-parters at the same time for our Patreon listeners. But since we ain't got a Patreon yet, folks, by the way, let us know if you want a Patreon. We will instead release the next episode, which is the next plane crash of this Boeing 737 MAX, as well as the results of the Boeing investigation next week. So stay tuned, folks. 7 days. You can do it. In the meantime...
Without a goodbye.
No, we gotta do a goodbye. We gotta do our little thing.
In the meantime, remember to stow your tray tables, fasten your seatbelts, and put your seats in the upright lock position. Because not every trip makes its final destination.
That was great. And you know what? My bad. I forgot to actually remind the people where they can find us. So they can find us on Instagram,
Great.
Facebook,
Redact.
our website. Stop it.
I worked really hard to come up with that.
You did really good. And we are actually going to end with that. So here we go.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.